We got a big report to talk about, San Diego Padres fans. One of the Friars has already been linked with another team next season. One of our free agents apparently is not going to be a Padre next year, guaranteed, according to one outlet. Let's talk about that and some other roster-related stuff. What's going on, everyone? Christian Pedersen back with another episode of Padres Digest. This is the part of the show where I always invite you to drop a comment on anything this video related that you want to talk about or anything else that you want to see a video on. And as always, if you want to hit the subscribe button, it's greatly appreciated. But zero worries. Let's talk about Ryan O'Hearn. This from the Sporting News, which, I am part of an ecosystem where we all live to create content, and sometimes you make something out of nothing, and this might be something out of nothing. They did a first look simulator, kind of running through all the different teams, looking at all of the free agents, and the TLDR of it is that they have Ryan O'Hearn winding up as a Cincinnati Red in the start of the 2026 season, saying that he fixes their power and yada, yada, yada. And like I said, TLDR, he's going to be a Red next season. Okay. So what's the headline? The headline is that there is a upcoming free agent. Padres have several of them, but one of them is Ryan O'Hearn, and it would seem to be that early media reports are indicating that it is unlikely that he is going to sign back with the Padres. So first question back to you guys is, what do we think of O'Hearn so far? Is this somebody who, given that Luis Arraez, also a first baseman, is going into free agency this offseason, it's not like we have a guy who is at first that is committed for a decade or is beloved by the fans and we don't want to squeeze him out or something. There isn't really that. If Arraez comes back, I'm sure that more than 50% of the Padres fan base will be excited about that and will embrace and endorse him as the first baseman going forward. But like I said, I don't think there's not a generational guy right there. So does O'Hearn clear that threshold for any of you? I think that the numbers for O'Hearn so far this season have been well within, I'm trying to think, I don't want to insult, these are well within what I would invest in for a first baseman, be that with Luis Arraez or Ryan O'Hearn or really ex-player. You can fill in if this ends up being Gavin Shildt, these are good numbers. Obviously, these are all-star numbers for this year. That's a year-to-year metric, not necessarily diving too far into that, being like, oh, he's an all-star, so he's worth having. But the numbers, I would take this anytime, any day as the serviceable, everyday first base option for the San Diego Padres. So I would hope that in reading some of these things, there's at least some outlets reporting the potential for him to come back to the San Diego Padres. I would like to at least have him in the conversation. That being said, for where he is at in his career, being a free agent, coming off of an all-star season and being in the prime sort of years athletically speaking, he's probably going to want a lot of money. And I don't know if the Padres have that money. I don't know all of the Padres ins and outs, but I know enough to know that the Padres have talked about how under the new ownership of the new Seidler brothers, the money is not necessarily like an issue, but they have used some coded sort of words and phrases that you can deduct that they're not trying to really splash every 30 here. Oh yeah, sure. Lock him down, get. They're not trying to go toe to toe with the Dodgers spending wise. They are not saying we are rebuilding and we are dishing and dunking, but if you look at the numbers, here is what the Padres have this season as their total adjusted payroll, $215 million. This is for all players, all transactions, all cash out the door so far for the Padres on the books. Looking ahead to next season, what is already on the books. So this is just Cease, Hearn, Arraez, guys like that are all moving on. This is what's on the books already for the Padres, and this is 19 players. So some of that gets filled with, $250,000 reliever contracts. Some of that gets filled with $700,000 Mason McCoys. But how quickly does that go by? How quickly does that 194 turn into 215, rounding out those last couple of guys? Probably a lot quicker than any one of us want to come to grips with. And so looping then just back to O'Hearn, realistically, I'm betting we get like 2 spins. We're probably going to, you know what? Maybe let me adjust that to say that I don't know nearly as well or haven't quite as directed and informed of an opinion on what's going on with Michael King contract-wise, because if he really does miss as much as he's missed this season, it might just be beneficial for him to lock in at that mutual option. But even then, that mutual option is over $10 million. And so, but that could be the spin, maybe one other pitching spin to get some guy, but I don't necessarily see, not only because it creates a logjam, I don't see the money available for the Padres to do an Arraez and O'Hearn. No, like Freddie Fermin's locked up for a couple years. We've got him on a good deal. There really only is right now, I guess you could say there's questions at Xander because of his foot, but it seems like he's coming back. So the Ramon Laureano is going to be picked up and left. The only question mark is first base. And as much as we would love to be like, oh, we'll get this guy and then we'll get that guy who's maybe, like a $4 million or some sort of other player to put to, I think we get one spin. So is Ryan O'Hearn that one spin for you guys? Is Luis Arraez that one spin for you guys? Is there somebody else that is that one spin on the offensive end for the San Diego Padres for you to fill that first base slot? Looking back at O'Hearn again, or I'll show you the numbers one more time on the way out. I'm not saying like if he can go to the Reds and make 20 plus for 5, if he can make into the 100 millions, go. Do you, dude? Capitalism rules. Go make that bread. Generational wealth. Congratulations. But if there is a competitive deal, I would like to at least see the Padres in on this guy. Because if we lose out on Arraez, I think that this would be, I would take either one of these guys. I am not sold on either one being like, excuse me. I'm not sold on either one of them being way worse or better than the other one. Apologies for that sneeze there. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where we're at. Contract situations are starting to bubble up. And I know we still got this year, and I know we got to focus, and we got to be, we're closing in on winning still the NL West and all that. But that being said, it's important to start thinking about, like, if these pieces as put together do end up succeeding, what do we do to sustain that success? When contracts are maxing out and people are having to move on, how do we replace that? How do we rebuild that? What was it about that made it successful? So, like, we're in the midst of a fun run, but it is already kind of time to just start having this conversation. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think on O'Hearn, Arraez, all the contract situations for our offensive solutions, and anything else you want to talk about. Like I said at the beginning, if you could hit the subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. If not, though, no worries. Talk to you guys soon.